Hello, Rotarians. I hope you're all keeping well and safe. My name's Barbara Mifsud, and I'm the Regional Membership Officer working at the Rotary International South Pacific Philippines office in Parramatta. Well, normally I'd be working out of the office in Parramatta, but as you can see, I am working from home today. As you know, we do find ourselves in unprecedented times, both within our daily lives and also within the Rotary landscape. And it leaves us wondering, what can we do to make sure that our Rotary clubs continue to function and also to remain relevant? And to give us an insight, we're joined by a very special guest, incoming Rotary International Director, Jessie Harmon, who's going to chat to us about leading your club during COVID-19. So thanks very much, Jessie, for joining us. First off, are you able to tell us a little bit about yourself and also your Rotary journey?
Yes, of course, Barbara, and it's lovely to see you. And like you, I'm I'm working from home today as well. So I guess, just starting with me, I'm a Rotarian a member with the Rotary Club of Wendouree Breakfast in Ballarat, Victoria. And I've been a member of that club since 1998. I'm currently the chair of the membership committee for Rotary International. And as you said, I'm looking forward to coming in as director for a 2-year term in 2021. Interestingly enough, my first experience of Rotary was as a participant of RYLA in Tasmania. And I guess I remain interested in and proud of Rotary's youth programs to this day. So that's a little bit about me from a Rotary perspective. Professionally, I've spent the last 2 decades working in higher education, originally as an academic, then as a senior administrator, and very recently as a consultant back into the sector. And I guess in terms of other community service, in addition to Rotary, I'm on a couple of other boards that are in the community services, education and arts sectors. So that's me.
Great, thank you so much, Jessie. Yeah, I had no idea that you were a RYLA participant, so really interesting.
Very much so.
So, as we're talking about, we do find ourselves in unprecedented times. So how do you see the current situation affecting the Rotary landscape?
I guess I see upsides and downsides, Barbara. I would be lying if I didn't say I was concerned. I'm concerned that we may potentially have Rotarians feeling disengaged with Rotary. And I think that's disengagement on 2 fronts, both in terms of not being able to physically meet regularly with Rotarians, people like them, but equally disengaged because they're not able to do service, to give back in the ways that they traditionally have. And I guess I'm particularly concerned that there may be some members feeling very alone, isolated, even fearful. And I think it's incredibly important that we reach out to those members to ensure that we support them, as best we can. So I am concerned. But, amidst all of those concerns, I am very confident that we are going to look back at this time and we will say that it had positive outcomes as well. It's going to dramatically accelerate our use of technology. It certainly has told us that we can do Rotary more cheaply and in less time-consuming ways. It is certainly, I think, going to produce an understanding, I guess, that we can drive behaviour change when the conditions are conducive to that. And I'm very optimistic. In fact, I'm confident that it will demonstrate a whole range of sort of innovations and adaptations to the way that we meet and do service. So a mixed picture.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I really think I mean, it is a great opportunity for us to be thinking about like flexibility, and also really to be practicing Rotary International's four strategic priority, which really is adapting to change. That's
Mm.
really, I guess, what we need to do. So, what are some of the immediate things that that you think that Rotary clubs and Rotarians can do right now?
Well, I think right now it's back to basics. You know, had we been having this conversation a month ago, talking about membership, you know, I would have been talking about new club types and, you know, non-club based models of participation, and we could have had a discussion about Rotaract and what its elevation means. But right now, in these times, I think it is all about getting back to basics. And that is simply about enabling our members to stay engaged. And that's engaged with other Rotarians and their clubs, but similarly engaged with service and giving back to their communities. You know, in relation to getting members connected with each other, I have been very impressed to see how quickly clubs have embraced virtual meetings. Many seem to be using Zoom, but certainly others are using other virtual meeting platforms, and it really is wonderful. And it's great, you know, and all of a sudden you can draw guest speakers from all over the world. You know, you're not limited to your own backyard. I guess my caution there is to make sure that technology doesn't inadvertently create a divide between those who are comfortable with technology and those who aren't. So I absolutely think we need to move our meetings online. But at the same time, I think we need to make sure that there are people within our clubs who can be, I guess, technology mates, if you will, to help those people that aren't so familiar with technology, to help and support them to get online so that they can be part of the club and part of those virtual meetings that I think are so important. So virtual meetings, wonderful, but make sure that we support and help members that aren't so familiar with the technology. But even for those clubs that haven't moved their meetings online, I'm impressed with some of the things that I've seen. I know that there are clubs that have set up sort of telephone tree arrangements so that members are calling other members and making sure that everybody gets a contact at least once a week. You know, similarly, I know there are clubs that have sort of ramped up their almoner positions, you know, the roles within the club that are responsible for looking after the welfare of members. You know, similarly, I know that there are clubs that are leveraging their bulletins, their newsletters and their social media channels just to make sure that they're continuing to connect with their members, and all of those things are really important. I mean, there is nothing more important at this time than keeping members connected with other members and with their clubs. And clubs are doing some wonderful things in that space to make sure that that's happening.
Excellent. Yes, I totally agree with you. It's, you know, it is about keeping our members socially connected and making sure that you know, that we look out for them as well. And what about the service picture? I mean, how do you think members and clubs can be providing service at this time?
I think the service piece is more challenging while we are so physically constrained. But I think it's actually helpful to think about service at three different levels. And I think that first level of service is the service that we give to our individual members. You know, Rotary's always been really good at giving back to the community. This is absolutely a time that we need to give back to our individual members. And I've talked, you know, we've talked already about the importance of reaching out, virtual meetings, you know, supporting members to stay connected and to use the technology that enables them to be part of the club. So I think that first level of service is recognising that just giving back to our individual members is really important. I think the second level of service, and I think there is an opportunity here, is to give back to the club. You know, and it strikes me that now is a really good time to do some of those activities, that preparation and planning that we may have been putting off. And I guess, you know, that could include things like working on the club's strategic plan, surveying club members to see, you know, what's working and what's not, and you know, what are the changes that we can do to make clubs stronger going forwards. You know, similarly, I think it's a perfect time to be doing some of that research into local community needs. So a community needs assessment, if you will, so that clubs can put some time into identifying local needs and planning that sort of high value project that can be implemented when times, I guess, well, will they return to normal? I'm not sure, but when the limitations are eased a bit. And I guess the third level of service then is that service that we traditionally think about of giving back to the community. And again, I've been impressed to see how quickly clubs have started to do that, you know, and they've done that by making contact with the first responder organisations and providing support, by making or donating funds for personal protective equipment, for donating meal costs to restaurants so that they can prepare meals for the homeless. You know, there are clubs running errands for the aged and infirm in community, or people that are self-isolating. You know, there are some amazing things that clubs are doing, principally to respond to COVID itself. A very wise Rotarian said recently to me, one important thing is to make sure that you're checking in with those first responder organisations in your communities, like councils, and just asking what support, you know, is necessary and appropriate. But similarly, you know, I'm also impressed to see clubs starting to talk about how they can do some of their traditional service in a virtual world. You know, and I'm hearing clubs talking about how they can move their mentoring, you know, into a virtual space, how they can, you know, use this, you know, do their normal speech competitions that so many clubs do online, or even, for instance, move their Pride of Workmanship or business awards online. So, you know, there are a range of things that clubs can be doing in that traditional service space. And I think the most important thing is to recognise that it is incredibly important to find ways to enable us to give back, to do service. You know, it's the primary reason why people join Rotary and the reason why they stay. So we do need to find those new and different ways to make it happen. And I'm very confident that clubs are doing that.
Yes, I mean, and I think that's great. Some of the ideas that you've given, and you know, getting us to think about the three different levels of service, and I think that's, you know, really important. There's many ways for us to give back.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. The other thing I'd say, Barbara, is just, you know, there are some incredibly smart people in Rotary. You know, the network is full of people that are very innovative, very creative. You know, we'll find ways to get them done. I think we need to be humble enough just to give them room to come up with those ideas, because I think they will continue to come, and I think they will continue to inspire and impress us.
Yes, definitely. And you know, I think, you know, Rotary more than ever, we need, the world needs Rotary now, and we are, you know, leaders of change, and we're making changes in our communities, in our local international communities as well. So I guess in terms of that, of you know, being a change maker or being a leader, what do you feel like what are some of the characteristics that you think like us as leaders need to be showing at this time?
I think first and foremost, it is about care and compassion. You know, these are particularly challenging times, and there will be some members that are really struggling. We need to, and I guess this is metaphorically, but we need to metaphorically meet our members where they're at right now. And with care and compassion, we need to support them through these, you know, particularly difficult times. You know, I've already mentioned humility, and I think there is some substance to that. We need to let the really good ideas come out, and we need to be willing to embrace and support those ideas. I guess connected to that, we absolutely need to be problem solvers and innovators and adapters. It would be very easy and probably understandable just to want to shut down at this time, you know, but like you said, the world needs Rotary and we need Rotary. So we need to be willing to ask ourselves how, you know, how can we do it in this time? And I guess the other thing is a sense of urgency. You know, we have to act now. But as I said, you know, I can see that clubs are, you know, and that's a very positive thing. But it is important. We absolutely need to get back to basics and to engage our members, and we need to do it now. And we need to do it now so that we can come out of this. And we will, you know, we will come out of this. We can come out of this feeling strong and feeling prepared, you know, to continue to create lasting positive change.
Definitely. And I feel like that it's a, you know, it's a very interesting time, that exactly what you're saying, we're going to see a lot of changes that have come about, different ways of doing things, you know, and that's a positive.
Yeah.
Us thinking of, you know, how can we be more responsive to our members and also to our communities as well, and doing it, like you said, with compassion and humility, and I'm sure too that there's going to be a lot of great innovative ideas that come out of this as well. So yes, interesting times there.
Who'd have thought? I mean, who'd have thought even New Year's Eve this year that we would have, you know, we would have been here having this discussion? But it is what it is, and I guess we have to recognise the challenges, but similarly the opportunities.
Yes, that's exactly right. Well, thank you so much, Jessie. Thank you
My pleasure.
so much for sharing your insights and into, you know, how we can go about you know, leading change within this time. I also just wanted to just to reassure Rotarians as well that our office is here to assist you, and so we can help with things like, as Jessie mentioned, with things such as resources in terms of, say, strategic planning, or, you know, a membership satisfaction survey, but also about putting you in touch with, you know, people who might have you know, ideas for ways that you can also assist the communities as well. And there are a whole range of people that will be available. And, you know, obviously Jessie's given you some ideas. There are also your Rotary coordinators and you know, your district as well. So everybody is really in this, you know, together, as they are saying. So thank you again, Jessie.
My pleasure.
I wish that, you know, all of the Rotarians stay well and safe. You all stay well.